is a Super Bowl winning head coach with the Pittsburgh Steelers and currently one of the top analysts in the game for CBS Sports, the NFL Today, and his football life premieres tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network. He is Bill Cowher. How are you, Coach?
Doing great, Rich. Yourself?
I'm hanging in there right now, Coach. So what did you think of the Steelers' 52-point destruction last night? They got 52 points, most points that they've had for a Pittsburgh team since quite some time, predating you even.
Yeah, I know. And I got to tell you, after the first drive, the Cam Newton right down the field, you thought, wow, okay, that was pretty impressive. But then first play, as you just played the play-by-play, Smith-Schuster catches that bomb. And then the very next play, Cam throws a pick six. So, I tell you, it's a very good Pittsburgh team. I think when you look at it, the one thing that you have to say is they're getting better defensively. They can put pressure on the quarterback without a question with T.J. Watt, Cam, Bud Dupree. But I think offensively, just the people that have emerged, you talk about from James Conner, the year he's had. But I really like the two other parts of that is Vance McDonald and Switzer. I think they give them elements of a tight end, of a slot receiver that Ben has really not had in the recent past. So I think there's a lot of weapons on offense. Ben is very comfortable in command of that offense. It's an offense that can put up at least 30 points a game. I think the defense is getting better, and they're playing very well right now.
Well, Coach, moments ago I started the show to say, look, they do have a lot of weapons, and they're going to get one back. I mean, Le'Veon Bell is coming back, and I'm assuming at some point he is going to be suiting up and on the field for the Steelers. And, as much as Steelers fans might be upset with him and whatever might be going on in the locker room can get smoothed over, I mean, putting him in a two running back set with James Conner is going to open up even more of the stuff that you said right now. I'm wondering what you think about the Le'Veon Bell return and if you do think he is going to, in fact, step on the field for the Steelers this year.
Well, Rich, I think, obviously, I think he will return. Why do you go back to Pittsburgh not to return? I think he will return by 4 o'clock next Tuesday. I think at that point, the scrutiny will be on him. Number one, what kind of shape is he when he walks into the building? What is his attitude like? And then more importantly, what is his mannerisms on the field? The scrutiny is going to be there, but you're going to get a player, if he does come back and he wants to play, as you said, it's like getting one of the best free agents. You're talking about all the free agents that were signed at the end of the trade deadline. This is the best one to be able to get. You're talking about getting a backup to James Conner, who's one of the top running backs in the league, and we know what Le'Veon Bell has done over a period of time. So it's another weapon for Ben. It's an insurance policy to secure the running game. But again, the bottom line will be, what are you getting when he walks in to the building? I think they'll take him with open arms. I think everybody, the teammates will. And I think the first time he scores a touchdown, we're all going to forget about all the things that took place before, focusing on where you are now and, more importantly, moving forward.
But I also could not help but notice in your comment right there, Bill Cowher, that you called him a backup to James Conner. Is that how you would handle it as coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, I absolutely. I think that James Conner has earned this. In one's absence, I've always said this before, you don't lose your job to injury, but you just create an opportunity for someone else. And if someone else seizes that, then you have to wait for your opportunity. So I would just say to me that you have two running backs, and to have them both healthy going into the playoffs, I certainly would be starting James Conner, and I would certainly be using Le'Veon Bell. And I would keep them both fresh, particularly for the month of December, January. So I don't think James Conner has done anything to lose this job. I think as Le'Veon Bell comes in, he's not entitled to anything other than an opportunity to play on this team.
What do you think of the coaching job Tomlin's done this year?
I think it's been very good. I think Mike has navigated his way through some, everyone talks about the drama in Pittsburgh, but I know the building well enough to know that the drama was a lot more louder on the outside than it was on the inside. They've got very good leadership in there. Ben has really matured, and I think you even look on the defensive side of the ball. The one guy that keeps getting overlooked is Cam Hayward. He's the captain. We saw last night he had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. They got some good youth there. Joe Hayden's having a Pro Bowl year again. So, in that offensive line, everyone talks about everything on the weapons, but I think they also have, Rich, the best offensive line in football. So they're healthy, they're experienced, they've got weapons, and I think Mike has done a good job just keeping everybody kind of focused. And off to a rocky start, but I think they're playing as well as anybody right now.
Well, I'm sure we'll see a little bit more in the football life later tonight about the Roethlisberger arrival in Pittsburgh and obviously the Super Bowl that you guys won in Detroit, waving goodbye to the bus, and you also. But before we get to that, what you just said, Ben Roethlisberger has matured. How is Roethlisberger now different? Grown man, kids, wife, et cetera, outside of that, matured from the kid you met from Miami of Ohio, Bill?
Yeah, and you'll get an opportunity to see some of the conversations we even had, and subsequent to me leaving. And he was a kid that came in that had a lot going for him. A lot of people that supported him. I kind of got tough on him and showed him some tough love early. But at this point, though, he's the leader of that football team. He knows it. He's in command of that offense. He's the one that has to keep everybody happy. He understands the role of the quarterback. And, he's playing at a very high level. And I watch him, and you can just hear in his voice. He's just got a great perspective on life. He's in a great place, it appears. And it just, you can just see that, he's the leader. He keeps everybody going. He keeps everybody kind of even keel along the way. And, he orchestrates that. He threw three incompletions last night. So he's playing well, keeps everybody involved in the game. He's got some, Antonio got to keep Antonio happy. But when you keep Antonio happy, he produces for you. So I just like where he's at in terms of his leadership, again, on that side of the ball. And then defensively, like I talked about, Joe Hayden, Cam Hayward, they got good leadership throughout that team.
What do you take out of the night for the Panthers, Bill?
I like the Cam's mount. I like Cam's take on it. Like, listen, you had one of those nights, anything that could go wrong went wrong. Starting with his first pick six, but I still like that team. I think the only questions I have is probably on the defensive side of the ball. I think offensively, you're looking at a pretty special player in Christian McCaffrey. I just think he is dynamic, and you watched him last night. And I think getting Samuel, you got speed now that you have not had before. Right. I mean, you've got a lot of people right now that I think that you're surrounding Cam with. I think he's playing well. His completion percentages are up. He's taking less sacks. He got sacked 5 times last night. So I like where they are. Again, their defense is going to – the secondary's young. You like to think they're going to get better as the season goes on. But Luke Kuechly's one of the best inside linebackers in the National Football League. I think it was just one of those nights. I wouldn't overread it. I think they'll have a chance to look at it, reflect on it. But, their schedule's going to come down to playing New Orleans in 2 of the last 3 weeks of the season, and that'll be the defining moment.
All right, let's reflect now. Football life tonight at 8 Eastern time. I'm assuming, again, from you talking about previewing the tough love conversations you had with Ben, you have seen the hour-long program. You've seen it yet, Coach?
I have seen it, yes.
Okay, and what do you think?
I had a box of tissues next to me, my wife and I did, so it was some pretty moving moments. Honestly, Rich, I think what you're going to see is a journey that I had in Pittsburgh that was reflective of my players and family I had on the field, but more importantly, the women I had off the field that was a part of that journey. And I just think you're hearing the reflection through the eyes of some of my kids, some of the players, some of the coaches that were with me along the way, molded who I was. And I think it's a journey that was well told by NFL Films. John Weiss, I thought, did a fantastic job in just looking at it from the proper perspective. It was all the people that were with me through the course of that 15-year journey. And I think the proper perspective was placed on who they should have been, which is the ones that are with you through the good times and the bad, and that's your family. And we experienced a lot of good times. We experienced a lot of tough times, but at the same time, it was nothing but make our family stronger. And it's just kind of neat to see the perspective years later, and see how many times you have a chance to reflect a little bit. And it's nice to see and hear other people talking about you as well. So it really did. For me, it was it just brought some closure to a great career, and how it was depicted, I thought, was excellent.
All right, before we get to the closure part, Schottenheimer, I assume, is in there too, right? You were part of the Marty staff back in the day in Cleveland.
Yeah, Marty was. Yeah, Marty. As I said in the piece, I'm nothing more than a reflection of Marty Schottenheimer. That's the only coach I ever coached under, and he taught me so much about preparation and how to to break down and the work ethic that it takes from a coaching perspective to be able to communicate to players. And he was the ultimate person in terms of leaving no stone unturned.
And in terms of leaving the game behind, as you say, closure, there is a job open in Cleveland, Coach, and there's some people there that would, might think, look, that you'd like to get back in it. That no coach is ever totally out of it. Are you totally out of the idea of coaching again?
And I'm not. I'll say it. I said in the piece. I said, why close a window or a door that you don't have to? I don't know where I'll be 2 or 3 years from now. I don't know if I'll get the itch. I don't know if my wife Veronica would. She's kind of now been a part of this football thing. I brought her along, and you've seen her on the Thursday night before, and she's with us, and she's getting into music, and our family is so close, and so. I doubt it, to be honest with you. I have a great platform. I really love the balance in my life. I know what it would take to go back into it. You have to delve yourself into it, and they're going to be, 70-hour weeks. And you have to, if you want to change a culture, you got to be a part of that change. You got to be there every day. So if I ever did it, I would understand the commitment. But I can tell you right now, I'm in a good place. Great balance in my life, and when you watch the show tonight, it really was about my 15 years in Pittsburgh and how lucky I was and how blessed I was to be surrounded by the people I had, and the journey was a very fulfilling one.
Well, in terms of getting your mind right and family right, that's one thing about returning. Do you, even in your mind, have a concept of what it would require in terms of quarterback in place, roster in place, owner in place? Is that even something that you've figured out mentally too, potentially?
No, I honestly, I think you'd have to get. If you got to that point, then you're thinking about coaching again. And I think again, any situation you have is going to be unique. And I think part of any job of any new coach is trying to look at it, understand the dynamic that you're walking into in terms of what the decision-making process is in that building, understand what you need to prioritize in terms of what you want to build. Certainly a quarterback is the key to anything that is sustainable in the National Football League. And some people have one, some people may not have one. And it doesn't mean when you look at these college kids coming out now, there are some very exciting prospects that are out there. So, listen, for many years, I was playing with some good quarterbacks. I wouldn't say great. From Neil O'Donnell to Cordell Stewart to Mike Tomczak to Tommy Maddox, and then all of a sudden Ben came along, and Ben was pretty special, and you knew that. But it took a bad year to get Ben to pick him in the 12th pick in the drafts, and sometimes people aren't able to survive that. So, and sometimes it's just being in the right place at the right time and having the opportunity to get him. We happen to be 12th in a class that had Eli, Philip Rivers, and Ben. It's a pretty good class, and so other classes have not produced the same kind of talent. So it's all unique. The quarterback's important, but you can still win in the National Football League and change a culture with making sure all the other elements are in place until that guy comes along.
All right, last one for you then. Pretty special guy in Kansas City right now after you've seen what Pittsburgh is now, what it could possibly be if, as we've supposed, the Le'Veon Bell return goes smoothly, and then there's the GOAT in New England. How do you see the AFC playing out as we're currently sitting here one game into Week 10, Coach?
I think the order that you have them. Honestly, I think I go Kansas City, New England, and Pittsburgh at this point. But again, I think home field has a lot to do with it. I think New England's tough to beat at home. So is Kansas City. So is Pittsburgh. All those teams. Could they go on the road and win? No question about it. The only other team I would say that don't lose sight of right now are the L.A. Chargers. The L.A. Chargers have been playing on the road for like a year and a half now. Even when they play at home, it doesn't seem like it's a home game. So, but they are playing very well, and I think if they get in the playoffs, Philip Rivers, Melvin Gordon, if they get Bosa back with Ingram, I'm telling you, be careful. Don't overlook the L.A. Chargers.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate the time. Look forward to checking on the football life. You deserve it. I've cherished our Thursday nights that you referred to, hanging out with you and Queen V in the green room with the rest of the CBS gang. So best to your wife and your family, and I'll be checking it out tonight.
Thanks, Rich. Always enjoyed talking to you, my friend.
Right back at you. That's Bill Cowher.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.